you like electronic music? It's all around us today, like the oxygen in the air we breathe, from the top of the pops to the oddest sounds of the underground. But from where and when did it originate? 1980s England? What about 1970s Germany? Could it be 1960s America? 1950s Canada, perhaps? Surely no earlier than 1940s Egypt. And yet, here we are. If you're interested in discovering exactly how deep this rabbit hole goes, tune into SynKult every other Tuesday from 10 to midnight for a vista of electronic sound from the field's pioneers to its current cutting edge, all placed in historical and cultural context by me, your guide, DJ Victor Alls. From musique concrète to minimal wave, space rock to speed garage, acid house to ambient, you'll find it all on SynKult. Good evening, and it's great to have you all locked into another episode of SynKult here at Freeform Portland. As usual, I'm your host, DJ Victor Alls, here to fill in these next 2 hours with choice cuts of electronic music from across all genres, decades, and parts of the world. Firstly, I wanted to let you all know that the bed music you're listening to right now and will be hearing throughout the show, whenever I'm speaking, is from Vibrosphere's 2007 album, Exploring the Tributaries. Progressive trance has always been my reliable, happy music. Secondly, I've got a few very special things planned tonight. The first is a short DJ mix containing a very specific style of music, if I can even call it that. I came across a few tracks of this style, Bader Meinhofed myself into noticing more organically, and eventually went on an active search for enough to fill a DJ mix. To get to the point, this style is hardcore continuum music that reworks or remixes white pop. For those unfamiliar with the term, hardcore continuum is the generally accepted lingo that acclaimed music journalist and writer Simon Reynolds uses to define the unbroken musical movement that ran from the summer of 1988 with the introduction of acid house in the UK up to around 2007, roughly the year where dubstep went mainstream and the old scene started to dry up. What the hardcore continuum encompasses includes breakbeat hardcore, jungle, drum and bass, and some sections of happy hardcore, all of which we'll be drawing from tonight. Some mistakenly describe jungle as black music, though. In truth, it was a multiracial, working-class music. There's an apocryphal but true story about Goldie, a black jungle producer, and Doc Scott, a white jungle producer. When they first met, neither could believe the other made this sort of music. Now, the kernel of truth to the mistake that jungle is black music is that a lot of jungle and drum and bass sample black American music, often R&B for vocals and melodies, and funk and hip-hop for breakbeats. That's why I find the exceptions to the rule novel and somewhat interesting, these tracks that rework and remix white pop songs. One can assume many of them were the rough equivalent of those dreadful Ed Sheeran clubbing remixes you can hear in non-specialist clubs from time to time, but I think they sound more pure. Dance music in the early to mid-1990s wasn't quite the same soul-eating machine it can be today, at least in the UK. As Simon Reynolds said in 1992 for Wire magazine, quote, "It's a gabbing effing mess, barely music, but as it swarms out the airwaves to a largely proletarian audience, you know you're living in the future. Trash, but I love it." End quote. Hardcore continuum producers might prostitute themselves for the masses who'd go ape over a Stevie Nicks chorus or Beatles hook, which doesn't have to be a bad thing prima facie, but not in a way that was written by a comedian and calculated to be commercially safe, like those aforementioned Ed Sheeran club remixes. One last thing. There are 11 tracks in this DJ mix, and every one prominently reworks or remixes at least one pop hit of the 20th century. If you can identify at least one pop hit from each track, email me with your list. My email address can be found in my Spinatron profile. If you're the first listener to do so correctly, I'll mail you a Freeform Portland sticker, and if you wish, I can sign it. And with that, Happy hunting. Now, on to the mix.
Take you down, 'cause I'm going to strawberry fields. Nothing is real, nothing to get hung about. Strawberry fields forever. Living is easy with eyes closed. Misunderstanding all you see. It's getting hard to be someone, but it all works out. It doesn't matter much to me. Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to strawberry fields. Nothing is real, nothing to get hung about. Strawberry fields forever. No one I think is in my tree. I mean, it must be high or low. That is, you know you can't tune in, but it's alright. That is, I think it's not too bad. Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to strawberry fields. Nothing is real, nothing to get hung about. Strawberry fields forever. Always know, sometimes think it's me, but you know I know and it's a dream. I think I know yes, but it's all wrong. That is, I think I disagree. Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to strawberry fields. Nothing is real, nothing to get hung about. Strawberry fields forever. Sugar daddy, set me free. Sugar daddy, come for me. Sugar daddy, set me free. Sugar daddy, come for me. Sugar
Put on my raving shoes and I boarded the plane. Touchdown in the land where the skies were blue. In the middle of the pouring rain, everybody was happy. Ecstasy shining down on me. Yeah, I've got a first class ticket, feeling as good as a boy can be. I'm raving, I'm raving. I'm raving till the sweat just falls out of me. I'm raving, but do I really feel the way I feel?
You're listening to Raving I'm Raving by Shut Up and Dance featuring Peter Bouncer from 1992. Shout out to Professor Beats here at Freeform for initially sending it my way. He's got a great show called Ravers Without Borders, transmitting Mondays on 8 weeks from 10 p.m. to midnight. Before it was Sugar is Sweeter by CJ Boland. Shout out to my buddy Lance for initially sharing it with me. And beginning the set was Strawberry Fields Forever by Candy Flip from 1990, the earliest days of rave hardcore. This is Abyss by DJ Rap and Pete Parsons' side project Voyager from their 1995 Intelligence LP. If you think DJ Rap is a bad nom de guerre for a junglist, keep in mind she was briefly engaged to MC. Before Abyss was Sun Through the Trees from 1993 by Autonomy, an alias of the Criminal Minds. Kicking off this block was Rave is a Mystery by Vibes and Wish Doctor from 1995. This is a Ha 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 by DJ Hixie from December 1995. Before it was Bicycle Race by the lovely Jasmine Wagner, aka Blümchen, which translates from German to Florette, or Little Flower, from her 1995 album Herzfrequenz. Beginning this block was I Need Your Loving by Baby D from their 1995 LP Deliverance.
church where the wedding has been. Who lives in a dream, looks at the window, wearing the face that she keeps in the jar by the door. Who is it for? All the lonely people. Where do they all come from? all the lonely people. Or do they all belong? Father Mackenzie, writing the words of a sermon that no one will hear. No one comes near, working and working, counting his socks in the night when there's nobody there. What does he care? All the lonely people, where do they all come from? All the lonely people, where do they all belong? Church and was buried along with her name. Nobody came. Father Mackenzie wiping the dirt from his hands as he walks from the grave. No one will save all the lonely people. Where do they all come from? All the lonely people. Where do they all belong?
And there you have it. That DJ mix closed with Eleanor Rigby by The Lonely People from 1992. Shout out again to my buddy Lance for initially sending it my way. Before it was Days Go By from 2005 by The Contrast, which is a one-time alias of Welsh DJ producer Lincoln Barrett, aka High Contrast. Word on the street is Barrett first released Days Go By as The Contrast because he couldn't get sample clearance. Thankfully, he successfully re-released it under his main alias in 2019. On a more serious note, a reminder that copyright kills creativity. The real issue isn't the missing the point minutiae around media piracy and sample clearance, but living under an economic system where artists being able to eat is contingent on their ability to sell their work, a prospect that is increasingly impossible anyway, even under so-called legal conditions. Food for thought. Perhaps the abolition of copyright law could be a plank in a 21st century transitional program. Anyway, I've got one more jungle tune for you tonight. A 1995 cut by Rom Tom titled Pirates, which toasts defiantly in praise of pirate radio keeping the culture alive. A sentiment I think resonates with us here at Freeform Portland, despite being, of course, an all-legal station, give or take the occasional missed hourly station ID. Also, fun fact, Ron Tom went on to produce for All Saints and Sugar Babes.
Yeah, that is a burial, boy.
That was Pirates by Ron Tom from 1995, pressed on his own Metamorphosis Records. This next tune my buddy Lance sent me, and we both agreed it was incredible. We would have been wee lads when Oofy first dropped her single Brand New Car in '07, whose juices mingled with that glittery, sleazy, slippery scene the culture commentariat have spent the last couple years retconning as Bloghouse. Brand New Car is nominally electro, charming as hell, and entirely too clever for its own good. Here it is.
Okay, I got friends in all parts of the world. Yup, they know my name. UFFIE is heard 2 million plays way before my album's coming out. So when you hear this track, best believe I hit the 5. Give props to all my crew. My top 10 is made of stars. We rockin' the planet with beads in a cosmic car. So let this youngster taking you on a hip hop ride. Across the planet, techno, we gonna make your body slide. Charge it, rip it, play it, say it up. He's got that robot rock. Okay. Play me on every track. It sounds dope, well yours does not. We taking super dope every time we give the show. We going super fast while you stuck up. I'm extra slow. Time and time you staring at my pic like a peeping Tom. I got to thanks Tom for my space where it started from. So if you my friend, put your hands up in the air. I'm number 1 on the French top artist indie scale. The record's done, it's time for fun. We're moving up the chart. I got good reviews and brand new shoes. On my car, on my car. We're moving on my car. We're moving up the chart. I got shoes and brand new car. Nervous breakdown, panic attack. All this global hopping has got me out of whack. I gotta stand up tall, back up at the wall to show them how we do at the Edgar Ball. Hey, I'ma crush your party, stay until the dawn. I'm gonna drink all your bottles before I go home. Upbeat is that cutie who leaves your bar empty. I'm only 19 and I'm super sexy. Magazines stalk me like record companies. I'll do this photo shoot, but I keep the Gucci. I like to dress fancy. I'm a wise chicken. I got more stamps in my passport than a post office. Oh, I'm making the hype. Yo, you know what it's like. Me and Beats, we traveling first class and we save your whole night. I get chips, yes sir, like a computer. The internet is going nuts and I'm the witch doctor.
You heard Brand New Car by Oofy from her 2007 EP, First Love, Brand New Car. It's got that electro and boom bap feel, but with polished 21st century production, sneaking in references to MC Hammer, Daft Punk, Cybotron, and others. As I said, Oofy is too clever for her own good. This next track is clever too, just in a different way. New music from Swedish experimental techno artist Grovskopa, released under his alias Rivet on Editions Mego. The track in question is titled Plastic Bag Putain. I don't think the FCC cares if I utter a song title that's also a French cuss word. At least I hope they don't care. I'm DJ Victor Alls, and this is SynKult, coming to you from Freeform Portland, KFFP LP Portland, KFFD LP Beaverton, and on the web at freeformportland.org. Now, back to the program.
Subcultural Wallpaper brings you selections from the history of electroacoustic music, non-traditional songwriting forms, and other strange stuff. The top of Hour 2 features the Subcultural Wallpaper Instant Remix Transformative Audio Collage. The balance of Hour 2 is open format, covering a variety of genres. Please join me, DJ Gazebo, for Subcultural Wallpaper, every other Wednesday from 2 to 4 a.m. on Freeform Portland.
That was Plastic Bag Putain by Rivet, aka Grovskopa, from his new album, Peck Glamour, released in March. If you've heard of composer and sound artist Anea Lockwood, it was probably in conjunction with her infamous 1968 project, Piano Burning, which is exactly what it sounds like. She was the first one to do this, and it's been replicated by others many times since. As Lockwood put it in a retrospective interview, quote, "This was all the idea that John Cage had done wonderful things with prepared piano, but he was always had to be very careful not to damage the piano. So this was, what can you do when you're willing to go further?" End quote. Lockwood has other interesting projects too, such as her 1970 album, Glass World of Anea Lockwood, which contains a selection of precisely mic'd recordings of glass objects being struck, dropped, rubbed, and vibrated. It's proto-ambient, really more halfway between a concept album and library music. I argue Glass World of Anea Lockwood counts as electronic music not because it contains electronic instrumentation. It doesn't, but because it exists in a production lineage that goes back to the pioneers of electronic music, particularly Pierre Schaeffer and the GRM. You heard a few choice cuts from Anea Lockwood's 1970 album, Glass World of Anea Lockwood. She's still around today, well into her 80s, making music, delivering talks, and conducting live performances. I've listened to a few of these talks, and she is quite a bright bulb with interesting things to say about her music and the art world in general. Our next artist falls into this camp too. Toronto-based, non-binary musician and multimedia artist, Avi C. Engel. Their music generally falls within the neofolk tradition and so towards the margins of what we typically cover here at SynKult. Still, I've long argued for an expansive definition of electronic music that shifts from a cruder, reified definition of electronic music as a fixed set of sounds or genres towards electronic music as a flexible production philosophy. After all, there's a strong case to be made that the history of electronic music stretches back to and dovetails with the origins of recorded sound. When it comes to Engel's music, the point is the neo and the array of post-processing, looping, distressing, texturing, and other electronic treatments that Engel puts their sound through. Kor Kamaracheski once said that, quote, rock and roll is electronic music, because if you pull the plug, it stops, end quote. The same is true of Engels' music. And with that, here is Where Does the Moth Go by Avi C. Engel from their album Nocturne, soundtrack for an invisible film, released in January of this year, followed by an interview with the one and only Avi C. Engel.
Where does a moth go when it rains? To a hidden place. Where does a moth go when it rains? To where does a moth go when it rains? To a hidden place. Where does a moth go when it rains? To a thimble-like cave. Ink drop eyes, wings of autumn lane. In bright moonlight. drop eyes, wings of autumn lay. In bright moonlight, you'll soar again.
That was Where Does the Moth Go by Avi C. Engel from their latest album, Nocturne, soundtrack for an invisible film. And now, as previously stated, a conversation with Avi themselves. Also, I apologize in advance for the muddy audio quality on my end. I think it was being routed through my earbuds lav mic instead of my standalone recording microphone.
Great, so good to have you on the show, Abby.
Thanks for
If
having
I
me.
can start, what was your earliest musical memory?
Ooh, I feel like that's a hard one. Apparently, I was making up songs from before the time I can remember. Unfortunately, the person who remembers my songs can't carry a tune because my mother can't carry a tune. So she said I had a song about a camel when I was about 3. Um, and then my earliest memories that I actually can remember is my father would play kind of fingerstyle acoustic guitar and I would sing with him. So then I would have been about 4. So that's as early as I can remember.
Did you initially pick up guitar from your father?
Yeah, he had a bunch of guitars lying around the house when I think I was either 11 or 12. I just picked one up and it was one of those moments where an instrument, it just really feels natural. Before that, I had piano lessons and I really didn't take to it. So I do think that different people have affinities for different instruments.
I would agree. As
Yeah.
somebody who cycled through many at a young age, none really clicked. I think this is more my sphere, secondary cultural creation, as I like to put it. The way I put
More
it,
natural.
primary cultural creation is the work typically associated with artists, right? One writes music, does theater, writes theater, makes films, writes books or poetry. Secondary cultural production is archival, curatorial, and critical work, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the meta level
That's very
through which
necessary
art
though.
is understood,
Yeah.
sort of an intermediary between artists and audiences, typically either physically there, as in the case of, I don't know, a radio DJ, or sort of the language one draws on when they interpret art for themselves, right? Because none of this stuff comes out of interpreted in a vacuum.
Would that extend to like curatorial type work?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'd say so. Like it's one has to design the displays at the galleries and the museums.
Yeah, I also do visual art. So I had a show recently and it was a real luxury to have other people lay out the artwork for me. So I didn't have to decide where everything went. And then it's often really interesting to see how somebody else will sequence your work, for example.
It's an interesting point. Yes. How do you write your music? Do the instrumentals emerge first and you write your lyrics around them? Is the opposite true, or do they
Yeah,
evolve in parallel?
good question. So when I first started, I wrote poetry before I wrote music. So all of my texts would always come first. And then more recently, I kind of come at it from all directions. Like it's become, the word that comes to my mind is like gestalt and also a flow state where I would be hard pressed to take apart my process and tell you how it works, but I seem to be able to find my way into it from more angles for the longer that I do it for, if that makes sense. Like I can start with a beat even, or I can start with a few notes on the guitar, and then the lyric kind of grows out of that. And in the past, it would always start from the lyric when I first started.
Have you found that has ebbed and flowed over the course of your musical career?
Do you mean like the method, has it changed, or do you mean?
Well, the approach to the writing process, I suppose, writing in the all-encompassing sense of lyrics and non-lyrical content, and this just
Mhm.
all or flow state, you,
Yeah,
I don't know, find certain ways to enter it, or
I feel
certain
like,
ways
yeah,
which are amenable to you entering it.
sure, yeah. Well, I feel like it's kind of opened up in the past, I don't know, 5 years. Before that, like I do think I mostly like words were where everything started, and like the sound of words and the cadence of lines, like the music rose out of that, and now it feels like more like I'm interested in trying writing from all different starting points. Like I don't even know what a starting point means anymore. It all feels like the middle all the time.
I'm reminded of that quote on your Bandcamp that other interviewers seem to like quite a bit as well. I'm not writing the same song over and over so much as writing one long continuous song, and that
Yep,
will end when I die.
that's right.
Others have said that it's beautiful. I think that's kind of beautiful too.
Thank you. I think it's yeah, I think that's probably the truest thing that I've ever come up with about my music. It's hard to talk about your work. It's something that I used to find nerve-wracking and frustrating, but now I'm trying to approach it more as like a interesting challenge that I'll never fully be able to do, because if I could, then why would I be writing the music that I write? Because I feel like I write about things that I can't say any other way. So, but that statement does feel true. I feel like even having an album, it's sort of arbitrary what gets put into one album. It could have started from a different point. Like, you know, the way that chapters are divided up, there's something a bit artificial about them.
Hmm.
When you look at them in the context of like a life's work, uh, it's all one whole.
Sure.
Yeah,
Life is one, you know, entire flow state, or I don't know,
yeah.
durée, as Searle put it.
Mhm.
Now, you mentioned in a recent interview that you don't see your music as ambient, more as at times hypnotic. Could you expand on that, if you stand
Yeah,
by it?
I do. Like my music, I can see why some pieces, occasionally people could, it could fit in an ambient like playlist maybe, but even then I think I'm too interested in like melody and also words, which, and the words have too much meaning. Like I can get into some ambient music, but I think, like, how would you define as a DJ ambient music? To me, it can almost be like gauzy, or you're not supposed to be like necessarily focusing on it. It might be inducing a state in you,
Hmm.
but my music I think does demand focus, um partly because it's like there's an element of poetry in it, and you wouldn't want that to just wash over you.
Does the
Yeah, I'm not
hypnosis,
ambient.
fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
Does the hypnosis and focus, do they align in some capacity?
Yeah, I would say so. Like when you I like the idea of certain types of trance music where you're supposed to be paying, it rather than being lulled, you're being kind of taken in, like entranced, and into some kind of a deep focus state, which that does interest me.
Just makes
And
sense.
I have a new thing, pardon?
I also find that interesting how it kind of mirrors what you said earlier about flow states, about how that
Yeah.
almost trying to evoke a similar, um, or rather instill a similar perception or state of perception on the listener that you create for yourself, or the art creates for you as you make it.
Hmm. Yeah, like you have to have the skills to be able to create that framework. Like I feel like it's taken me a long time to be in a place where I can make work that like it's not just I don't know, taking some mushrooms or something and going, you know what I mean, going playing a groove or something. It's like much more, there's an element of like strong discipline to it, I guess, to the musical aspect.
While I know you don't identify with the term ambient, some of your purely instrumental work reminds me personally of Brian Eno, particularly his darker and earthier ambient excursions like On Land and his 1984 collaboration with Harold Budd, The Pearl. Bud famously said that the problem he has with most ambient and new age music is that it has absolutely no evil in it. For him, projects like The Pearl were a way to re-inject the evil in some sense. I detect a similar darkness in some of your music, often in connection with the natural world. Any
I really
thoughts on
like
that?
that. Yeah. Sorry, I was enthusiastically interjecting that I like that about the evil. I hadn't heard of that, and I do actually have that album that you're talking about. And I like Harold Budd a lot too. Yeah, and that's probably exactly one of the things about the ambient label that doesn't fit at all for me. It's kind of it's a bit too soft, if that makes sense. I don't mean like volume. I just mean like sort of edgeless.
Mhm.
And I like something a little more scary, a little more like elemental. And I am like the natural world is probably one of my biggest inspirations, both visually and also sonically and lyrically. And it's definitely not. I don't. It's everything. I mean, we're part of it, right? So, did I forget to answer something?
Well, just a bit more if you have anything on the connection between darkness and
Mm-hmm.
nature and your music. It seems like a
Yeah,
constant element, not constant, frequent element, the connection
for sure.
between nature and like putrefaction, decay, death, and also, the nastier sides, the carnivorous sides, the sort of losing oneself in nature as a human who, you know,
Yeah.
I think back to what a lot of early naturalists said about nature and how we only kind of created this appreciation for it, the idea of going out on a hike if you live in a city and work an
Mm-hmm.
office job, because now we have technology to extract ourselves from it, right? The Black
Mm-hmm.
Forest, if you were a German peasant, was a scary place. That's where
Mm-hmm.
all the deities and wood elves and trolls lived, and they would eat you and your children if they got a chance.
Yeah. And even in like a basic sense, like there's something awesome and terrifying about nature. Like we're little mammals that kind of need to stick together. And I mean, look at something like the ocean or a forest at night. You don't want to just lose yourself. I mean, if you want to preserve yourself, you don't want to lose yourself in that environment. That's for sure. I'm actually in the middle of watching a movie called Without Name, which is an Irish eco horror film, which your question that you just asked made me think that you might really enjoy it. I'm only halfway through, but so far it's quite amazing, and it sort of delves into what we're talking about.
This actually segues very well into my next question. You've mentioned in
Excellent.
the past that classic film, particularly American noir films like The Night of the Hunter and Nightmare
Mm-hmm.
Alley, influence your art. Could you speak more to that, especially in light of this recent album, Nocturne, being subtitled Soundtrack for an Invisible Film?
Mm-hmm. I just love the aesthetic of both of those films, especially Night of the Hunter. That's a big one for me. I've seen it a number of times. Um, that's another thing that I would find hard to pull apart, but there are even just certain shots from that film that I find extremely haunting. There's one where children are the two children who star in the film are floating down the river in their boat, and you can see this beautiful toad foregrounded and lit up. Um, and it's just like one of I don't have words for it. It's like when I'm writing songs and writing lyrics, I sometimes feel like I'm creating films in my head. Like I'm less of a storyteller and more of a I don't even know the word for it. Like not a sound painter. That sounds strange because I'm using words, but there is something very cinematic about my work, I would say.
That actually
And
makes
I
sense, painting
love
with
films. Like
sound.
I actually did a BA in cinema studies a long time ago, so
Hmm.
I did pursue it a little bit.
Painting with sound, though, that sounds familiar. I think some video artist or experimental filmmaker, is that Tarkovsky? Is that
Maybe
his phrase, painting with sound? No,
you
not
could have
painting
said
with
that. Yeah,
sound, painting with.
I love Tarkovsky's Polaroids. Actually, more I've gotten more into that than his films.
When people
They have
use the
said,
phrase every frame of painting, it really does describe Tarkovsky, though. His command of visual texture for me is one of the best things about his work, even if it's often
hmm
rather opaque and elliptical.
have you seen his Polaroids?
I haven't. I should
You
tell you
should
what,
check it
throw that
out.
into the same email with your ambient
I'll make
friends.
you a list. Yeah.
Sounds good. Anyway, next question, I suppose.
hmm
I noticed a few tracks on Nocturne, most notably Where Does a Moth Go, make use of electronic textures.
hmm
This is somewhat uncommon in your oeuvre based on what I've listened to from your back catalog. Could you tell me more about that decision?
Sure.
Assuming I'm interpreting the sonics correctly in that song.
I would call it more electroacoustic because I'm pretty sure. And the other funny thing about, I guess I would call it a flow state, is when I get an idea and I run with it, I often would have to like go back into the mix to find out what I was actually playing because I'll just, there's so little like conscious deliberation and so much just like, it's like you're painting and you're like, oh, this looks good, this color is good. And you just like, your brain is buzzing and you're going with what you find. But I think what I played on that song was acoustic guitar. And then I put a really heavy delay on it. So it's actually, um, it is electronic, but it's like, it's all based on acoustic instruments.
Mm.
Yeah.
The post-processing,
Yeah,
the electronic.
exactly. Yeah. And there is like a background vocal that's just a looped vocal for that one. So that's electronic, I suppose.
Mm. There's
But then
some
the continuous vocal is just one vocal performance.
element I was identifying in the mix. I could be mistaken. It sounded like it could have been a looped string or entirely synthetic tone, kind of in the treble. I'd
Well,
have
it
to.
has to be a string because I have no synths. So I guess everything that you hear is like some kind of bowed or plucked thing that I have, or I actually just got, and does not feature on that album, but I'm working on something else that features it. It's like the precursor to the clarinet. It's called a chalumeau. So it's
Oh,
like it plays like one scale, so you don't have sharps and flats, but it's a reed instrument. So I've started using that and putting processing on it. It sounds pretty interesting, I have to say. So that you're
well,
like, stay tuned for more.
will do. I look forward to hearing it in one of your subsequent albums.
Yeah,
Is there a favorite piece of yours from Nocturne? And if so, could you tell me about its story or the production process behind it?
sure. You know the track E minor fermented?
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's just one chord played over and over with like some interesting delays rising out of it. But I had watched a documentary about fermentation, and I was sort of imagining like when you close something off and it's alive and you're letting it do its own thing. So I was trying to sort of not just like, I'm trying to, like, the song is nothing's happening, and that's interesting because the delays are like creating their own weird little life forms, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Does it? Okay.
No, there's a long legacy of that in electronic, electroacoustic, experimental music, Alvin
Yeah.
Lucius. I'm
It's
sitting in
almost
a
like
room, for
like the
instance.
idea of non-doing, where I'm trying to interfere as little as possible, and it's almost like it's alive. It's like someone who's fermenting some kimchi or like beer or something. This documentary, it like went through all different fermented products, and it was very, very intriguing. And I was like, imagine if you fermented a chord, and that's what that song is kind of. And I was also listening to a lot of dub music,
Uh,
so hence the like the heavy delays and echoes, which I love.
Dub is a favorite of SynKult. I will tell you that.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes. What are two other artists working today that you think SynCult listeners and I guess me as the SynCult host should know about?
Okay. Two. Do you want me to tell you two that I've just found on Bandcamp that I really like?
Sure. Or just, artists you think are underappreciated, maybe friends or
Okay.
colleagues of yours you'd like to plug. It's up to
I'll
you, really. This is
start to
your
pick
time to
people.
shine.
My time to shine. Let me think. Hmm. There's an experimental choir that I found on Bandcamp called Nyx, like NYX. Have you heard of them?
I have not. Tell
I
me
think you
more.
might like them. They do a combination of improvising, and then there's some stuff that's more like compositional, I guess. And then they also blend electronics into their work. And they have a new album that just came out that's on my wish list. It's like, I think it's self-titled, but I would recommend that.
So Nyx, NYX.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think of someone else. I mean, I listen to a lot of music. It's hard to.
The last person I had on was a little bit miffed that I hadn't given him that question ahead of time so I could have prepared. So maybe I'll do that next time I have somebody on the show.
Oh, don't worry about it. I like to be thrown off. It's good for me. It's good to not be too prepared. It's just the question of picking two. You must know that's hard because you're a DJ, right?
Yes. There's always more music.
There's
that I
always
want to
more,
play, which I can't fit in my.
and these aren't
slot.
necessarily favorites. They're just springing to mind. There are things I greatly appreciate that are springing to mind right now. Let's see. I actually, in the realm of ambient, I helped organize a benefit for this organization that protects migrating birds. And it features like a lot of different artists. So then I can cheat and give you a compilation. It's called Sky Within Us. And it's like a whole bunch of different, I guess they're mostly ambient artists, but me and my friend Brad that I mentioned before, we compiled it. So you might want to check that out.
Will do. And I can't tell SynKult listeners that they should, but well, we've had some issues with that in the past in this country. Thank you, Steve Dahl of Disco Demolition Night fame, but
yeah,
I will highly recommend it. Let's say.
Oh, you're not allowed to recommend things, or?
Yes, well, it's technically called a call to action by the Federal Communications Commission. We aren't allowed to do those as radio DJs, but
I didn't know that. Okay.
Well, you can as a guest.
Oh, I can. All right, good.
But I can't as a
I
DJ.
didn't violate anything. I hear you. Yeah. Can I cheat and give you one more, but it's somebody who's from the past?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
We have time.
Okay. This artist that I found, I've listened to this album so many times. He has two different names. One of them is Shin Otoa. He's a Japanese kind of like folk singer from the 70s. And I found it on Bandcamp, and it's just this enchanting album. It's mostly voice and acoustic guitar. And yeah, I can't understand what he's singing, but I love his singing and his playing so much. And I do not. And the album is called Memento when it's translated into English. I'll send you a link to that if you're curious to listen to it.
Thank you. I am curious.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I think we've made short work of my list of questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to say or that you haven't had a chance to add before get back to the music?
I just want to thank your radio station because I think over the years you've played a bunch of my music and I really appreciate it.
Well, Freeform Portland thanks you for making wonderful music for us and our listeners. And, you know, it's why we're here, platforming independent artists, being independent away from
fighting the good fight.
Corporate radio wants to play or increasingly doesn't want to play at all and is
kind
of withering.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been 45 years since video killed the radio star, and well,
they've been killing it for a long time.
Radio is slowly rotting in the coffin. Minus places like Freeform trying to keep bits and pieces of the best parts of the media.
I think people are coming back to it a little bit. People are craving something that just feels more human, especially with all the AI stuff. Like, it's nice to have someone selecting songs and being a person with all of our like flaws and weirdnesses.
I think so. I think so too.
Yeah.
Kind of with the same, it kind of goes hand in hand with the resurgence of vinyl and even cassette culture. You know, I've never really understood cassette culture. I mean, you can do the same thing with a CD, but it's easier to, you don't have to rewind CDs. They're more durable. They generally cost less. Certainly better sound quality.
CDs are more durable? I was thinking about this the other day. Which is more durable? I think that a tape might be more durable.
All right.
Depends on how you take. I think that it's because CDs can get scratched, and then the damage is like so grating. Like when a CD skips, there's like nothing you can do. But you remember people like repairing tapes? They would be like screwing the tape back in.
But tape also degrades over time, right?
That's true. It creates an interesting sound, but it still plays.
True.
I think they should
Well,
invent a vinyl that biodegrades after like 1,000 plays. That's my idea.
that's a provocative idea. I mean, I guess you kind of already have that with acetate, but that's more just wearing out because it's a pretty,
Yeah,
um,
but what if it was like made of an organic thing like wood or not wood, like mushrooms or something?
hmm.
And you could listen to it like 1,000 times and then it just went back to the earth. That's how I would release my music if I could.
Well, if anybody listening here is into Kickstarter, maybe make that happen.
You can release some of my music.
Sure. Give Avi
Um,
a
thank
percentage
you.
cut. Email them.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Well, we are running out of time, and I should get back to the music. So
Okay. Well, thanks
thank
for
you
having
all
me
for
here.
listening. Stay tuned for another track off of Nocturne. This has been me, DJ Victor, also SynKult, and this has been Avi C. Engel,
Engel.
right?
It's
Engel,
Engel. Yeah,
like
you got
Frederick
it.
Engels.
Yeah, but just with no S.
I see. All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a good night and take care.
Have a great night. Thank you.
And there we have it. I hope you enjoyed that conversational interview with Avi C. Engel. Next to their track E minor fermented, which you heard them speak about. E minor fermented is an example of a style of experimental music called process music, which emphasizes the compositional process itself, often making it audible to the listener and de-emphasizing the role of the artist as sole creator. Process music has a rich history of its own. Maybe sometime I will dedicate part of an episode to that. E minor fermented off of Nocturne, soundtrack for an invisible film, by the Toronto-based musician and multimedia artist Avi C. Engel. A few cities over in Montreal, we get a recent sort of IDM electroacoustic neoclassical project by Jeremy Young, released just last month. Young has a very deliberate and admirably challenging approach to analog production, inspired by the fluxus expressionism of Joseph Beuys and compositional indeterminacy of John Cage. Young's elevator pitch from a recent interview with A Closer Listen is likely the best introduction to his work. He says, quote, "For those who care, I make use of a sine and square wave oscillator system, quarter-inch magnetic tape loops, filtered radio and EMF signals, and Foley-inspired sound treatments for amplified surfaces and objects, influenced by chance practices and deep listening. For those who don't, I use antiquated, half-broken machines to make works of audio that fall between bad music and good-sounding sound." End quote. Young's most recent album is titled Cable Car. That's just cable car squished together and without the E. It makes use of no synthesizers, but just about every other piece of radiophonic and electroacoustic studio trickery in the book, and I'm sure some that have yet to be written down, like ordering mystery scraps of found sound reel-to-reel tape from eBay and feeding them into his machines. A few tracks would also do just fine mixed into an experimental techno set. One of these is the title track from Cable Car, which you're about to hear.
End of the line. Everybody out and walk a few hundred yards from the train station with the majestic peaks towering all around us over to the cable car. Pulls you up, lets you go, and you go flying down. Get up now. Over with a cable car. With a cable car. 1957 that the top of the hill was conquered with this cable car system. So we're really the fortunate beneficiaries of all that Swiss engineering. Feel free as a bird and just wait a few minutes and you're towed up for your next spin around the mountaintop. What could be better than this?
You heard Cable Car by Jeremy Young from the eponymous 2025 album. That will be about doing it for this episode of SynKult. I'd like to fade out the hour with Van Particle, a composition by Gordon Mumma. It dates from 1985 and was released in 1992 on his album Live Electronic Music, and is considered a minor milestone in early music for microprocessors. The composition is intended as a live duet between a live percussion virtuoso and a digitally synthesized percussion sounds generated by a Yamaha CX5M, which is basically a Yamaha DX21 synthesizer inside a CPU with a QWERTY keyboard and MIDI interface. The DX21 is in turn the younger brother of the legendary Yamaha DX7, the poster synth of the 80s. Gordon Mumma's Van Particle showcases the expanded vocabulary of sonority and rhythm, accessible only to computerized percussion, comparing and contrasting the pre-programmed half with its improvisational complement, performed by a virtuoso percussionist who is allowed to select at will from a wide variety of percussion instruments with varying timbral qualities. As Gordon Mumma described in his 2015 book, quote, "Composing the music and synthesizing the sounds required collaboration between composer and computer, rather than a master-slave relationship. It involved embracing the quirky ersatz voice of the CX5M in dialogue with the real percussion instruments. In live performance, the physical activity of the percussionist clarifies some of the intentional differences between the acoustically real and computerized sonorities. In experiencing this work on recording without the visual cues of live performance, the differences of sonority and Van Particle may be humorously ambiguous." End quote. Now, please enjoy Van Particle by Gordon Mumma. Thanks for tuning in, and good night.